What do I need a Ferrari, Redford?
Surely this one concourse then must have done a car.
Yeah, his came second.
Second? How's that possible?
We
The wonderful thing about cars is they are all so different. Every time I get to drive a car I haven't driven before, I get that sort of tingle of anticipation, wondering what I'm about to experience. If I know it's a Ferrari, then that sensation intensifies. If I know it's going to be a V12 Ferrari, well then I'm already grinning from ear to ear. This is a 330 GTC. 330 because, as we know, that's the capacity of each of the 12 cylinders. Just 600 were made, which means it's quite a lot rarer than an F40 and arguably, surely, a lot more attractive. I mean, this stunning Pininfarina design has got a touch of the super fast 500 at the front and definitely a bit of 275 GTS at the rear, all beautifully moulded together and set off, of course, by these classic Barani wire wheels. This 330 GTC was fully restored for its current owner here at Barkaways in Tunbridge from 2012 to 2015. Yes, it was a complete restoration. It had left the factory in 1966 resplendent in the dark green Verde Scuro. Somehow it then made its way to America in the 70s where it turned red before the current owner chose this glorious shade of Pinot Verde for the restoration. That's pine green to you and me. Under that beautiful bonnet lies a 4-litre V12 producing 300 horsepower, which was fully rebuilt, as was the gearbox. And that quality of restoration continues on the inside. Beautiful period tan Connolly leather, as per the original, and also, as per the original, for all good concours reasons, it's black plastic. That's how the original was, that's how the recreation is. But then you sit here, and this is the important bit, the round wooden steering wheel, that wonderful Ferrari emblem, and look at these dials here. Speed to the left, rev to the right, giro times 100. Well, I got volts and other things which I don't really care about. Benzina, the petrol of course, a clock, volts, amperes. Down below a whole row of lovely tactile switches, the lights, the fuel pump that must be on at all times, the heat of the left, the heat of the right, the rear screen and the interior lights. I like that. Also, of course, the Motorola radio. You can't be a 60s car without a Motorola radio. The gear lever. Oh, the classic gated Ferrari gear change, 5 speeds. Just a joy to play with even when we're not moving. But the final touch I like most, perhaps, an ashtray with a little Ferrari flag crossed with a little Pininfarina flag. I like that. Barkaways are a family-run classic and supercar service and restoration business, specialising in concours restorations, predominantly with Ferraris, here at their Kent premises that they opened in 2011. Set up by father and son Ian and Ben, with mum Andrea keeping them under control, they've fully restored over 30 cars and won multiple concours events, including at Salon Privé, Hampton Court and Villa d'Este. Ian has been involved with Ferraris since 1985, while Ben was enlisted to help concours preparations before he'd even left school.
Ian, this is just sumptuous, this is gorgeous, but you must have cried when you're restoring it, that with this lovely Connolly leather you had to put new black plastic, because that's what it was when it was built.
That's what it had to have. But you've got lovely Connolly seats.
Yes, I want Connolly leather up there. Right, 4-litre V12s, need a bit of pumping in the throttle, ignition on.
A bit of a process, so ignition on, and then you've
Pump
got
on.
Pump on, bit of autoflux.
No noise, no brrrr.
No, there will be the ignition, another click on the ignition. There we go, you can...
Couple of pumps.
Yeah, couple of pumps, dip the clutch.
Dip the clutch.
Oh! Music.
And this lovely dog-leg gearbox.
Yep.
Down into first.
And
Where
we're
we
off.
go.
Off we go. There we go.
So, out onto the public road.
Oh!
Yeah, the rev's right.
go with this.
Stop talking. That's 6,000 RPM in a V12, 4 litre, 300. So this was an early disc brake car, wasn't it?
Yes, so you've gone from drum brakes on the 250s to suddenly you've got independent suspension, disc brakes all round, 5-speed gearbox. So this is quite civilised. This was a big step forwards in mechanical.
I mean, it wasn't many 330. It was quite a range, wasn't it? Because it started with an Americana or something, was it? And then a 2+2.
Yeah, and then you had the GTS at the end. So they, like all Ferraris, they didn't make very many of each model. They only made a handful of each one. A lot more
But even
sauce.
so, on this GT, how many of these have passed through your hands? Different ones?
We've done about 3 or 4 of these in full restoration. They made about 600 in total.
Yeah.
Obviously, the 2-seaters were always more popular than the 4-seaters. They did a 4-seater version of this. But the 2-seater...
This is so beautifully proportioned. I mean, the size...
Yeah.
So I'm a 246 lover.
Oh, absolutely.
But now all of a sudden I'm thinking, whoa, maybe I'm a 330 lover. Because this thing
Yeah.
is stunning. I can't believe anyone wants to sell this. It's just criminal.
And it really works in this colour. This is the best colour combination for this car.
And I'm back on the main route.
Here we go.
I mean, this engine, I mean, it's done 68,000 miles nearly the car, but you rebuilt the engine after all 65. When you got the car, how old was the engine?
So this is all new. So this has got high compression pistons, all modern pistons, but the car's probably only done about 2,000 miles since we rebuilt it. So it's only
What
just...
state was the engine in when you took it apart?
It was a bit of a mess. Yeah, it was 60-year-old and it was with quite a lot of corrosion. The car hadn't been used.
And the gearbox as well, is that synchro mesh?
That's all new synchro mesh in the back, yeah. If you're going to do it, you've got to do the whole car.
Did a full job. So of course, have you got it this Classic A thing? Have you got that done as well?
This is all matching numbers, this car.
I said, that. You're not answering my question. Is it Classic A?
No,
Is
it's
it
not.
Classic? Right, but that's a bit of a thing in Ferrari world. Do you have to have it?
You don't have to have it. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's a stamp from Ferrari of everything being original on the car.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot of money to do it. Some people think it adds value to the car, some people think it doesn't. So this hasn't been Classic A, this car.
So what proof have you got of anything then?
But we've gone around the car. We've got two sources of information for the numbers on this car. There's what's called a Mancini report, a guy called Marcel Mancini, who does a lot of historical research on cars.
Right.
He's got a report and it's verified the history of the car and the body number and the chassis number.
What else? Numbers.
Numbers. I know you don't like numbers. So we've also got a letter from Ferrari giving the original numbers for this car. So we know what the original engine number was, the gearbox number, the body number, the assembly number. And we know that all those numbers are still on the car today. And say some people really get behind it and some people say, well, I've got a matching number car. What do I need a Ferrari?
Surely this one concourse then must have done a car
Yeah,
like this.
it came second.
Second? How is that possible?
We had 2 cars on the same concourse and the other car we took one first and this one second. So we did shoot ourselves in the foot a bit that day.
What was the car that beat this beautiful machine?
We took a Ferrari Lusso.
How much is Lusso worth?
Well, it was about 2 million at the time.
Oh, well, that's cheating.
So Barkaways won, but this car came second.
So it was a Barkaways 1-2.
1-2 at the event.
But then what is the value of these? I mean, from a scrappy one to a...
These being the 4-seater, hold on, there we go.
Right, you were saying.
Well, that's just priceless. That noise is just priceless. So if you pay £500,000 and you get a free car for the noise. So yes, the 2-seaters are obviously less valuable. You're down in the sort of 200,000s. Up with this, it's always the most desirable, these 2-seater cars as opposed to the 4-seater car. So these range from, this is top of the market at 570 we're asking for this car, because it's had more than half of that spent on the restoration.
So what was the guy buy it for roughly when it was
He probably paid about 100, 150 for it, but he bought it about 8 years ago, so the market was quite quiet then.
So as Ferraris go, I've never really heard of it at all. Is it one of these sort of unsung heroes that people haven't really noticed enough, or is it within your business quite a well-known
The
classic?
330 is quite a well-known car. Everybody knows the 250s, the 250 GTOs, the 250 short wheelbases, the 250 Lusos. But then as the end of the 60s came along, they went into the 330, did slightly different design. I mean, this was an expensive car. When this came out originally in 1960, I think it was the late 60s, this was like £6,500. So
Really?
that was a lot of money.
Okay. Any famous people over them? You know, like Princess Grace or anything? Are there any stories with a 330?
They do. I mean, a lot of the big names. Peter Sellers was a well-known fan of Ferrari.
Okay.
He had various 330s, 275s and what have you. He loved them.
So of all your restorations then, what's the one you're most proud of, or the one you enjoyed the most?
There's lots over the years. I think we've done 5 Lusos, California Spiders, short wheelbases. One of the ones that sticks out we really enjoyed doing, we did a 275 two-cam aluminium body, and it had all the beautiful riveted aluminium tank in the boot and everything. It was just it was a real work of art, and we did it in a grey colour.
Grey?
Yeah, it was like a grey colour. Obviously, you know, 250 California Spiders, they're some of the most beautiful cars ever built.
What's the most aggravating part of restorations?
It's usually things like doors and door locks and windows and things.
Yeah.
They're all the old 50-year-old Ferrari parts that you've got to try and get working. Engines, you can put new pistons in, new conrods like this.
And trim? Is that
Trim, you can buy new leather from Connolly. We did a lot of work with the Connolly. So you can get all, and seats you can get done, but getting old-fashioned 60-year-old door locks and window mechanisms to work is probably the most challenging thing.
Well, we better take this back to your lovely workshop before it's wearing it out with its owner.
Well, there's worse places to be on a sunny day, isn't there?
And this simply gorgeous Ferrari 330 GTC chassis number 9089 with matching numbers is for sale at Barkaways on the Carhuna platform, which offers online auctions and classifieds with dealer reassurance. And I want it badly.